I call the meeting to order. A recording or broadcast of this meeting is being made at the direction of the board, and the recording and or broadcast may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. We take roll. Vladimir?
Present.
Jessica?
Here.
Brian?
Here.
Shelley?
Present.
And I'm here as well. So board's present. Why don't we go ahead and do the pledge of allegiance? Please stand. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving into agenda improvement. Do any of the board members like to provide comment on the agenda? Hearing none. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? So moved. Vladimir, do I have a second? Second. Brian, thank you. I have a motion from Vladimir approved, second by Brian. Can I get a voice call in approval? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we have 5 yeses moving forward. Thank you. Closed session, no action was taken. Jeff.
Yeah, good evening. Welcome back. Happy New Year. It's great seeing everyone. We had a successful return to school last week. Talk a bit more about the implications of COVID and so forth in the second agenda item. And Sandra, I assume you're going to make mention of the Professional Development Day coming up. Great. So I think we can just move right in, Steve.
Okay, great. We'll move into the consent item. Board members, does anyone would like to make comment on the consent item? Seen any? Can I have a motion to approve the consent item as presented? So moved. Vladimir, thank you. Second?
Second.
Brian, thank you. And moved by Vladimir, seconded by Brian. Can I have an approval? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Not hearing any. It passes by vote. Thank you. Okay, employee request to address the board. Would you like to talk?
Hi, yes. Good evening and Happy New Year. As we move into 2022, we are already pulling together to continue supporting our community and to address the challenges brought on by the new variant. LATA would like to thank LASD for proactively passing out home test kits prior to our return to school. Not only have I heard appreciation from our families, but also from our members. As we enter into this new period of change, we know that keeping our teachers healthy and safe is a top priority. Along these lines, we are also relieved to be included in pool testing and to continue to appreciate our schools and communities' adherence to testing, safety measures, and clear communication. While this year will no doubt bring new hurdles, we are ready to support each other. We have seen members step up to help their teams and members and staff from the district office working hard to cover classes. In other non-COVID news, the Board of Supervisors hearing for the 231 Grant Housing Project is tomorrow. This is the final county approval for the project. I do plan on attending the meeting to reiterate LATA's support for the project. That's all for tonight, and thank you for the opportunity to address the board.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you as well. Okay, moving on. I don't think there's anybody from the school, the CSEA group. To provide public comment on an agenda item, members of the public should use the raise hand button if using the Zoom app, or press star 9 if you're using your phone. Your name will be announced when it's your turn to speak. Prior to providing your comment, please be sure your microphone is on. Requests received after public comment begins may not be accepted. Community comments. This is a time that's reserved for members of the public and employees to address the board on items that are not on the agenda. Board is not permitted to discuss any or take action on any non-agendized items, except for to instruct the superintendent to review the matter further, report back to the board at a subsequent meeting, or to place the matter on a future agenda. The board may make a brief comment or ask clarifying questions. Does anyone here like to make a non-agendized comment? Not seeing any, we'll move right into the agenda. Assembly Bill 361 update, remote meetings, public meetings. Jeff.
Yes, as you probably remember from last year, Assembly Bill 361 gives public agencies the ability to continue meeting remotely, assuming that a couple of conditions are met. Both of those are being met. I'll just review with you. One is that there is still a state of emergency, and there is still a declared state of emergency in the state of California. And the other is that there is guidance that exists from Santa Clara County Public Health Department, from Dr. Sarah Cody, recommending that when possible, all public meetings happen remotely. So both of those findings are in place. So I think an affirmation from the board. Yeah. If you want to continue meeting
There we go.
in this way.
If anyone would like to provide a public comment on this, please raise your raise hand button now. Board, any clarifying questions on this one?
Jeff, did the board, did the governor extend 361 or something like that? Was there a change in the law that affects us, or regulations that affects us as where we need?
Not since the last time the board took similar action in December. Is that your question?
Yeah. I thought I'd heard or read or something with a change in the law, or a very recent change in.
Various things have been extended, but 361, I believe from the beginning, 361 was written to apply for a couple of years. So that wouldn't have had to change.
Sorry.
Yep.
No big deal.
Yeah.
See, no. Go ahead. I thought, without looking into it, I thought the implication, whatever the change was, that we did not have to go through this.
Okay,
Sorry.
Great. Questions asked? There's no public comment or request to address the board on this topic. Any board members, can I get a motion to affirm conditions Assembly 361 have been met in order to continue virtual meetings with the Board of Trustees? So, Ryan, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mayor, thank you. Assuming there's no more further discussion, can we do a vote on this one? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing one, it passes 5-0. So curriculum and instruction projects update, Ms. McGonigal.
Excellent. Synchronized here. As you may remember, when we came to the board in last June to present our LCAP, our local control and accountability plan, I asked for some permission to take some things out of our plan to really be able to streamline the plan. So we are tonight going to talk a little bit about an update to those things that we removed from the plan. And then before the end of February, I will come to the board with the official LCAP mid-year update. But even prior to that, I'm going to come and give you more of a narrative update on how we're doing with our LCAP and what our goals and actions and services have been this year. So today is really an opportunity to highlight some of the great projects and programs that are happening in our district. You might remember this document. This is what I showed you as kind of a high level way to think about how we're making progress. So this is where we started on a variety of projects and programs in development in varying stages. I'd like to remind you that there is still a pandemic happening, and our department, my department, is down several people. So even despite that, we've made some really excellent progress in a few really important areas. So again, looking at this real high level progress, you can see the areas in blue have moved to the right 1 or 2 spots. I don't expect you to read these in great detail. It's really more of a high level visual. And then the red, because new things always come up based on either teacher need or student need or state requirement need, certain things come up. So this is just a real high level way to see whether or not we're moving the needle on some things, but again, not all things. And it doesn't mean that we're not doing pieces that remain black, but they have not been our highest priority at the moment. So we'll talk about a few of the big things. So I believe last year you heard a little bit about our Reading Fellows program. It's our partnership with Mentor Tutor Connection. Greg Drummond really spearheaded that last year. This year, Jill Croft, one of our ISTs, has taken on a lot of parts of that role, training our new tutors, connecting every day pretty much over at Ullman. So we have a really terrific, what we consider kind of a tier 2 intervention. This year, we really selected kids who were just below the line in reading. So last year we focused on kids who were further below, and it was really hard. I think it wasn't as intense as that these particular kids needed. So this year we focused on students just below the line of where they should be. And we've had several rounds now of tutoring. And even from when I turned this into Marcy on Thursday, we actually had a full data debrief with Mentor Tutor Connection on Friday. Students have made incredible growth overall in the areas that they're working on. These are primarily first and second graders. We're talking about bringing on some kinder students now that they have a little bit more under their belt, so to speak. But these tutors, we've had a great rate of retention from our tutors. They develop connections. We really ask them to commit to 6 weeks. It's 4 days a week for 6 weeks. But what's happened is they develop such a love for their particular student. They're often connected with parents, and these tutors are coming back often to continue working with their student, because even though they're making progress, we don't want them to just barely be at grade level. We want them to feel really solid before we let go of this. Teachers are giving really great feedback on noticing that kids are more engaged during reading time. They show more confidence in reading because they have that daily practice one-on-one with a really well-trained tutor. And so everybody's excited about this program. What we're hoping we can deliver, hopefully by next year, is a similar math fellows program. Mentor Tutor Connection has talked about a group of tutors that are more comfortable in the mathematics area as opposed to that reading area. And of course, we know we have students with needs, and it's such a nice relationship between Mentor Tutor Connection that we hope we can develop and grow something along as well. I think that's probably it. So kudos to Jill Croft, who's really helped further foster this relationship with Mentor Tutor Connection, and they're such a great organization in our community. It's really incredible, and our students are definitely benefiting. The next topic is around our Pursuit of Biliteracy Award. You'll remember, I believe we came with a resolution that this was something new for our district to really highlight students who show a proficiency in their home language as well as a world language. I'm sorry, that's wrong. The English language and a world language. So it was launched last spring through our world language classes, and again this fall. And at the same time, the state updated their offerings around biliteracy pathway awards. They wanted to be much more inclusive of only students, not just students studying a world language and being able to speak English. So this year they've come up with these 3 different opportunities. We have not deeply looked into what that looks like, and it is absolutely on the list. I know this year our 8th graders will be the first group, and we'll work with Marcy and the junior high principals to actually earn that award by following the guidelines that we established. But we certainly want to also be able to expand our offerings. So the biliteracy program participation is for students who are enrolled in a world language course but might not be meeting the the benchmarks in either their English class or their world language class, so they don't hit the Pursuit of Biliteracy Award, but they're still participating. That's one level. The home language development recognition is working with families to see how students are maintaining their home language. And there are some pretty specific markers that they have to meet around: can they read, can they write, can they speak in their home language? Is there some further study that they're doing to maintain their home language, which is awesome. That's the other part. And then biliteracy attainment recognition. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Biliteracy.
Yeah, I think it's different than that though. The title does not always explain exactly what it is. So those three pieces, I need to go back to our groups at the junior high who've been working on this work and see, do we want to add one or more for next year, as these were just pushed out this year. But I know we have lots of participation at our junior high schools of kids who are really interested in making sure that their grades are meeting the mark and that they will be eligible for this award come graduation time this spring. So that's good news there. There we go. So our teacher induction program, we started that last springtime. It is a 5-stage, initially 4, and then a 5th stage is kind of a site visit. So we have completed stages 1 and 2. We have submitted for stage 3. We got some feedback of some changes, so we're making those changes right now. We're really hoping that we will get approved through stage 3 and stage 4, and be able to begin our induction program internally here next fall. That's really our big work. So the work that we're developing right now in preparation for stage 4 is really the biggest body of work, and it is laying out all of the tools, the processes that we would need to document our actual program. And that has to be verified by the CTC, the Commission on Teacher Credentialing. So that's very exciting. Let's see. This was one of the new pieces we added over summer. And it really was a teacher-driven ad. Our elementary teachers in particular have asked time and time again for some supplemental materials to support social studies teaching in the classroom. And so Sarah Gerlinger, one of our instructional support teachers who's incredibly passionate about social studies and has done so much work in that area, has really looked closely toward the framework. And the missing piece that we saw that we didn't really have easy access for teachers to is around inquiries. And that's really the new guiding thinking of how you best teach history. If you all remember your own history experience, our history teachers are so amazing. They're often storytellers and they love to tell facts and interesting tidbits of history. And so this really flips that for either a short period of time in a unit or sometimes for the whole unit. And it really turns it into an inquiry for students where students are doing the bulk of the discovery and they're primarily using first and second prime and secondary resources, which is terrific. So Sarah has been working with a small group of teachers who really opted in because they were the ones asking for this. And but these inquiries are available to all teachers in our district. And Sarah has developed 17 different inquiries. It's really incredible, using resources from UC Davis's history project, from the SHEG folks over at Stanford. New York has put out several really high quality inquiries. So she's really been making them very teacher friendly and student friendly, and working with this cohort of teachers on how do you introduce a kindergartner to the idea of using a primary source. Like, what does that look like? So there's been some really interesting work. I just took a few screenshots of some of the work Sarah's doing. My favorite one, the start of the year in kindergarten, Each inquiry starts with a big question, and then they have little questions along the way. But the big question is, what can symbols tell me about a place? And all of the kindergartners begin looking at their mascot symbol and really trying to understand what it teaches them. And so ultimately, they look through different resources. They typically end up creating something, whether it's an argument to answer the question, using some evidence. And sometimes they're prompted to take some action. Like, now that you know this, what can you do to be a civically engaged individual within your school community? So lots of really terrific learning on the part of our students and teachers. And it's a lot of work. And so it will be ongoing over years. It's impossible to create a little something for all of the content that's available just this year. But the feedback from teachers and students has been really great. Our STEM Plus program, we are just wrapping up the 3D printing project, wrapped up in December timeframe. All of our fifth graders print. They get some choice in what they do, but they learn how to use the 3D printer to take something home. We were lucky enough to be able to work with our tech specialists to help support some of that newer technology that they have not really been using as tech specialists on our campuses. So they've been so helpful with our printing support. We've gotten all of our maker spaces or lunch clubs up and running this year, which is terrific because that was a big missing component last year when we were back on campus. So kids are definitely happy to have those spaces up and open. Grace Choi, our super specialist IST, has been creating new projects or updating projects and really ensuring that all students are having a rich STEM experience, really working with teachers to integrate it into either science or ELA or social studies sometimes. So all of our students have created several projects so far this year. We had our first district-wide design challenge, which I'll show you some pictures for a moment, but it was about how do you create a stand for a specific weighted pumpkin that can hold the pumpkin up, and it varied by grade level. So our TK through 8th grade participated in this design challenge, and it was really fun and terrific. We have our career day coming up for junior high in February. So if you are a community member listening, or if any member of the board wants to volunteer, we're always looking for volunteers to go into the classrooms this year to talk about their STEM careers. And then our STEM expos will be back this year. We always have huge participation on our campuses, so we're working to see that in March. And robotics is coming up for all of our students in 3rd trimester, which is really great. A couple of pictures. The upper left one there is Egan. They did it through their advisory class. This was the design challenge. And Mr. Rocha said it was a crazy and eventful period of playing around with pumpkins and all sorts of things. And then you can see Springer over there, where they had all sorts of students bring in their different designs. And then Mrs. Holtberg, 4th grade teacher over at Springer, is always great about tweeting out pictures of the projects that her 4th graders are doing for STEM. So we're still remain so proud that our STEM projects, we maintain, we upgrade. We're trying to constantly evolve the program and remain kind of current on what's happening out there. And maybe this is lastly, computer science. We've done so much work around computer science this year. You know, we continue to have people from around the world to learn from us around our computer science program. We've hugely increased the number of lessons that students have been able to participate in. We have 2 dedicated computer science teachers in elementary and 1 dedicated plus partial up at the junior high schools, which is fantastic, really fantastic. So we're able to offer more courses there. Artificial intelligence is a new area that we're really getting into. Sheena up at the junior high is developing some lessons in AI, which is great. We have more girls. This has been a number we've been tracking for years. For whatever reason, this year seems to be the year where the balance, it's much more balanced than it's ever been before, which is great. And that's something we've really been trying to promote. And just like our STEM program, we want to maintain new in computer science. So both the Ozobot and the little finch, which is this adorable little Tweety bird, are new to our elementary lessons, which is great. I think we just want to remain current. Oh, and we have been, that top bullet over there, we really have been, iPads are so expensive for our schools. The original Chromebooks for younger kids, the touch screens were very clunky. They have a new model that's out now. We purchased 10 of them just to see how they would work for a quarter of the price of an iPad. It's getting some good reviews by our CS team and students. So that will be an interesting area. They still have access to all the apps and the different things that they want to do with computer science. And it seems like a better cost effective exploration for us. And just a few of our pictures, you know, our little B-bots in primary is one of our favorites. The Ozobot is that upper picture there, the little orb with the blue light on the top, and it follows the tracing and it tells them what to do. And then the little finch is the white bird on the right. And then you can see our upper grade students doing some scratch block coding there. So computer science is on a roll. We're just welcoming back Alex Schroeder from maternity leave since Ricky, who left. Alex just jumped right in and she's so excited to be back and teaching computer science at 3 of our elementary schools, 3.5 of our schools.
So
Happy to answer questions.
so before we go down that path, if anyone on the audience would like to ask questions or make a comment, please raise your hand now. Or do you have any clarifying questions for Sandra?
I have one quick one, as it relates to the whole teacher credentialing, what were the things, give us examples of what they asked you to change?
One of them was a discrepancy between Block Junior High School and Block Intermediate School. Because we always refer to it as intermediate
Yeah.
school, but officially it is Georgina P. Block Junior High School. It was a couple of little things like that. It was also making sure that we're reaching out beyond our own group, that we're collaborating with outside folks, which we are, but we just needed to better document what those pieces were.
So I don't see any questions from the audience. That's great.
Steve,
Any-
Steve, I have a question.
Yeah, now we're gonna, you have to go. Now it's our turn to talk or ask questions. So Shally, did you have one?
I did. Thank you, Sandra. I
Yeah,
just had
turn
a,
on your microphone, Shally.
my microphone is on. I think on.
Says she's muted on mine.
Yeah, unmute again, Shally. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's weird.
Do you have to join the audio?
Do you
Wait.
need to join the audio at all?
Hold on just a second.
Well, do I need to leave computer audio? No. Ugh. I don't know what to do.
It was working earlier, so I'm surprised we're having a problem.
Try again, Shelley.
Shall you want to try again? No?
We've made it this far.
We're doing so well.
So maybe Shelley can call Jeff.
Yeah.
And Jeff can relay the question. No, yes,
I think she's
What's that?
on, so-
or chat, yeah.
Okay, can you
Well,
hear
I
me
don't-
now?
I can't- I don't
Can't
have
see
chat.
No, not yet, Charlie. Does she? have
Okay, how
a
about now?
button on her computer?
It's unmuted on my computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're gonna have-
Shelley,
Okay, that's okay.
Shoot Sandra the questions you've got, because I'm not hearing you now. We were hearing you during all the voting, so something happened between now and then.
Okay,
Thank you. Okay, I think we'll move on.
Sorry, I'd like to make one comment.
Yeah.
On stage. So thank you for all this. It all looks great. I just wanted to say, I really appreciate expanding the biliteracy recognition.
Yes.
And I'd love to see that because I glanced briefly at what CD has, and you know, it basically gives kids an opportunity to sort of
Right.
demonstrate that it'd be great if that turned into sort of a celebration of languages, and you know, rather than just turning that into whoever's doing the thing, if we could compile the, you know, sort of a presentation, if the kids are willing to sort of have their work be seen, so that people can actually see the essays.
Yeah.
Because, you know, with Google Translate, like these things to be appreciated, you know,
Right,
by everybody,
absolutely.
not just people who are fluent in that language. But I'd
Yeah.
love to see that as sort of more of a public celebration at the junior high level of the multiculturalism of our community.
Yeah, and it makes me think of how does that fit in with the Egan Viking Showcase, or, you know what I mean? So it's not another thing, but maybe it's a strand within something.
Yeah, actually, that's a good,
Because they, don't
That's-
they have like the history project thing or whatever it is?
well, they do decades, but there's a Viking Showcase, which basically is kids presenting to community adults.
Yeah, yes.
Something about what they've done, and actually it would make sense to integrate it into that for this. That's true.
I have a question.
Shelley, why don't you try logging off and joining us again?
I was along the lines of what Brian was saying. Are we planning to recognize at graduation the kids who have achieved certain literacy levels?
For this year, our plan is to do the original, and what I need to work out with the staff at the junior highs is, does that happen during their typical award assembly? Is there something at graduation itself? Do they get a sticker on their diploma? Do they just get a separate certificate? We have until June to figure out those details.
I would love to see
Yes.
it recognized.
Yeah.
That's okay. And then another question had to do with, you commented that you had gotten, what the slide was, you had gotten some inquiries, I think, from New York. Are there any plans to make those sort of get back or make them available to other schools or other?
Oh, the ones that were.
Yes, whatever our
Sure,
corpus of knowledge is,
yeah, absolutely.
I think we could.
That's a great idea. Yeah, Sarah has developed a social studies inquiry hub for teachers where they find all of the different resources available. Yeah, that's a great idea.
I want to give it another shot.
okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No?
How is your, it's connected to your computer, Jeff, is that you turned your volume down? Connected to the owl, I'm just curious. That was- that was mine.
Then I think we're gonna step on to the next topic, Shelley.
Okay,
COVID-19 update, vaccine clinics for Los Altos School District. Jeff?
Yes, wanted to provide an update to the board just on where we are. I know there's an ongoing interest. So next slide, Marcy, or Sam, you.
Oh, yep,
Forward,
sorry
forward.
about that.
Thanks. So this is the county dashboard. Thank you. That you see each meeting. This is updated on our website generally daily, except for weekends. You can see that this was from earlier today, so it is not. There was an update today that was about 2,900 cases per day on a 7-day rolling average. Right, so it's definitely in the throes of spiking. So you can see again also where it was compared to the winter surge last year. Much higher. So that's countywide. These are our COVID cases by the number. Last meeting asked to get broken out over 4 weeks, kind of a 4-week running. So first column you can see is to the far left after the names of the schools. It's before the holiday break. And you can see it was very low as typically we had seen. The next column is 2 weeks worth of data during the holiday break. And so those were self-reported cases by parents and staff members. None of those resulted in any close contacts because we were not at school. The next column is our first week back. So it would have been last week. And you can see the numbers have definitely ticked up. You can see from 0 cases in preschool all the way up to 9 cases at Springer. Those are staff and students combined. Those are a combination of self-reported and tests from pool testing. The pool testing produced 2 or 3, on average of 2 or 3 cases or identified positives per campus, right? And each one of those generated no more than 1 individual positive, right? Because we response test after we get a positive. Excuse me. And on the far right, you can see this week. This week is obviously incomplete because it's Monday. So in our first batch of pool testing today, as a reminder of the cadence, we do pool testing on Mondays and Tuesdays at our campuses and then get results, generally speaking, on Wednesdays and Thursdays, respectively. So we end up doing the pool testing on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I use the royal we there. I am doing none of this. It's an incredible team that is doing this work. Just for reference too, we have about 9% of our student body absent today, for instance. Usually runs around 4 or 5% this time of year, so it is up a bit. That's not all COVID related, that is for any reason. One of the areas that we're keeping our eye on and watching closely also is staffing. Our staff is our lifeblood. They are what keep this going, teachers, support staff, everyone. And we have about 5% of our staff out right now for COVID-related situations. It's either positive or close contact, some kind of reason. That's down a little bit from the end of last week. So I'll emphasize here as well, we have seen no outbreak at schools, right? You know, the numbers have increased, but none of that is linked to any kind of outbreak at school. We are still doing a really good job of isolating positives when we find them. And just a few reminders, we are absolutely prioritizing in-person instruction, right? We're doing everything possible to keep our kids in school, and that means keeping our staff safe and keeping our students safe. Obviously, the state and we believe that in-person learning is the best way for students to learn. And I know there's been in the news a bit lately around us about school districts deciding to go back to virtual. That, I'll just say to you, that is not permissible by law any longer to go virtual. That expired on June 30th, 2021, the ability to do that. So independent study is the current option. I'll say that we have operated safely, we continue to operate safely. We do have a very controlled environment, right? We get to make sure 100% of our people are wearing masks indoors at all times. We have, specific COVID protocols that we follow to ensure we are protecting the health and safety of everyone who is here on our campuses. I think something else important to recognize right now, and that is that we need to all assume we are close contacts every day, right? With those kinds of numbers in the county, we need to make the assumption that we are in contact with someone who is a positive when we're out and about. So behaving like that is important, right? Making sure you're masking, making sure you're practicing hand hygiene, all of those protocols that we know are important. All right, we continue to be prepared to operate safely. We are conducting asymptomatic testing. As you know, we have pooled testing on our campuses for students who consent. Currently, at our elementaries, it's running between 85 and 95%. We're getting close to 100% at a couple of campuses. And we continue to emphasize that as that being if we know we are in a regular close contact situation of positives, the CDC's and the California Department of Public Health's guidelines are to, if you are a close contact and you are vaccinated, if you don't feel well, test, right? If you have an onset of symptoms, test, right? So we take great pride in the fact that we are offering that testing every single week on a regular basis. We are adding all staff to pool testing. We're starting that this week. In fact, started it today. We're starting with classroom teachers and those who have an association with a single class. And then we're going to add all other staff. That would include the 4 staff members in this room beginning the following week. So we are working to implement that as well. We're, as usual, isolating anyone who's symptomatic right away, requiring a daily symptom tracker for parents to fill out. These are some, that one actually is not a required one, but we continue to do that. Thanks to the work last year, we continue to have improved and high quality ventilation in place in all our spaces. We're practicing hand hygiene and we're notifying of close contacts, which, as I said, that's great, but we need to assume, that close contacts are happening all the time. That is getting more and more difficult to do right now because of the number of cases. It's another reason why it's really important to assume you are a close contact, right? And again, not just if you're on a school campus, but if you're going to the grocery store, if you're going downtown, wherever you are, you need to assume you're a close contact. But right now, the contact tracing and the preparation of letters to send out is becoming a very challenging task. You'll see this written in from districts again and again and again, from Palo Alto to MVLA to Menlo Park. I just read one communication that was sent out. So that is becoming very challenging. Because of that, we met last week with Mountain View Los Altos High School District and Mountain View Women's School District, because we share a community, right? Doing some best practice comparison and really developing some consistency among us, because we are in a single community, became important. So we are looking at some of the changes that have occurred recently from CDC and CDPH. Around isolation duration, around close contact notification, and then around the changing definition of fully vaccinated as well. So we're going to be coming forward with some tweaks to our process of notification coming up, so that we can, as efficiently and quickly as possible, make sure people are aware of the changing situations on campuses. Again, our overarching goal, keeping everyone safe. Word about vaccination clinics. So we have had 2 that have completed at Santa Rita and then at Almond. Huge successes, many people showing up. The one at Almond last Thursday occurred the day after the director of the CDC gave approval for the 12 to 15-year-old booster. So the line was down Almond Avenue. They actually had to cut off distribution. So we have another clinic coming up, and that is on Thursday, this Thursday, and then again on Thursday, February 3. That's happening at Block from 3 to 7. And we expect that to be well attended as well, especially for that 12 to 15-year-old booster shot. But those are actually being done in coordination with Safeway and Albertsons. They're sponsoring this one. So they are looking for volunteers from our community just to staff the line and make sure people have the paperwork. We are fully staffed with volunteers. I know some of you have signed up as well, so thank you for that. I'll be there too. But that's coming up this Thursday. So that should be another good event. And with that, I'm happy to take questions you might have.
And before you do that, so yeah, we do clarifying questions. If anybody wants to comment on this item, start raising your hand now. And go ahead.
Yeah, just about independent study. Do we still have, is there any change in the number of independent study kids we have, and have parents asked about it?
We've had 2 who were going to return January 3rd, whose families decided to keep them back. But 2 went in December, another one in November. So I think I'm down from 21 to maybe 17, and 1 added in early November. But I have not
So you
heard
haven't
from
heard
any
any-
other families that they want to go that direction. And I know at our school sites, a lot of families are looking for like maybe a 1 to 2 week, right? They're worried about the big surge right now. So I know our teachers and schools are working through just more of that short term. That's not our STRIDE program. That's a short term where teachers giving just some basic things to keep them going until they return back to school. That's embedded in that 9% there that Jeff was talking about.
Okay.
That's wise.
I think question 2 you might have about moving to the fall in line with the California Department of Public Health guidelines for masking outdoors. We did do that today. Principals monitored that, and as we expected, we had I think the most we had masks down at the site was 5. So kids are by and large still wearing masks outside. And it sounded like it was, so for some of them, it was taking a break and just having it down while they're exercising vigorously, kind of thing.
I'm going to
We'll
give
continue
you
to
one more.
monitor that, just to have an idea.
Great, thank you. Seeing no request for public comment, I'm going to close that. Turn back to board comments. Any other board comments on this one?
For those students who are going to isolate, those that tested positive, do we have any mechanism for either providing supervision or providing them with the way of keeping up with the classes? I don't know if that covered what you were talking about.
So teachers are sending home, right? Do some reading, do some writing, do some math. We are not trying to replicate what's happening minute by minute from the classroom. It's an impossible task. So teachers are sending home, whether it's pick up materials or through Google Classroom, but assigning work to keep them
Reasonably.
relatively in line. But there's always catch up to be done when kids return from an absence.
You were talking about notifications. Do we promote, have we told parents about CA Notify? It happens on the phone.
Yeah, I don't know that we have not publicized that. Where you use your phone to identify close contact essentially.
They will tell you.
Right.
When you've had close contacts.
Right.
But you have to turn it on, the time Bluetooth is on. And it's a statewide app. I just realized I had to turn that on. Looking at the numbers for Santa Clara, or even any group of people, it strikes me that even though the numbers are much higher than they were back in last year, in January of last year, a year ago, in some sense, I don't know exactly what you call it, but the total pain is different. The severity is much lower. The number of cases are higher. So in January last year, we had in Santa Clara 2,552, I think.
That was the high day, yeah.
Yeah. Those were serious cases. So we're having lots of cases where my understanding is that they're not quite as severe. So that's not to say we should relax, but it's not necessarily as bad as those numbers show. That's
Was the opportunity for vaccination as well. Right?
for the vaccination clinics. Who can get vaccinated?
Anyone,
Anybody.
as long as you are older than five or older.
Okay.
Anyone 5 or older, the safer ones actually include and second doses for 5, 12, or 18 and over.
And it's first come, first served.
First come, first served. There's registration, but walk-ins are accepted as well.
The last comment I have, you may not be able to answer this. High schools have only 65% participation in the tool testing. Oh, I had another comment. Is there any particular reason for that, or are they just getting close to being teenagers, high school kids? And I don't want to do that kind of stuff. I'm immune.
So it's hard to say what it is. I was just talking to Keith Roach, the principal of Egan, about this late this afternoon, about to continue to push. And I think some of it's tied to the fact that junior high school students were vaccinated when we started this, or had the opportunity to be vaccinated, right? So perhaps they saw that as a reason that there was a need, they didn't need to participate. As we start our next communication campaign about this idea that you want to be essentially testing weekly, and we have that opportunity on campuses, right? That this is your opportunity, right? This is available to you. So, this is a convenient way to take advantage of that. And we'll try to get more.
Okay. One last question. It has to do with the students who in the either the reported number of cases are positive. Are those PCR tests or those lateral flow tests? The reason I'm asking is because the PCR tests are significantly more accurate than the lateral flow tests.
So which tests are you asking about?
Well,
Pool testing is PCR.
full testing PCR. Okay, all right.
Yep.
That's all.
If I can add one more thing, because of this, with this increase of numbers, right? That back in December, that first column, when we had a case or 2 cases, handling the noticing of families, though challenging, was far more doable. As we move across into the last 2 columns, it is taking over the day for our nurses and our principals and Sarah, our communications director, each and every day. And that's certainly not the core work we want them doing, right? So we are actually in the process of bringing on staff to handle that COVID communications and let that be their their job. And we're not sure if we're gonna need 2 people or 3 people, but we're gonna bring that on and have them work on a daily basis and just for that.
So that was one of my questions I was going to ask, is you mentioned doing some coordination across the districts.
Yep.
Is that a shared resources you guys want to do? Because they're doing the same contact tracing type thing. That's something they could do.
Right.
Build up a staff and do that across the group.
So I think what we've learned is it's so particular to each school.
Yep.
That it needs to be.
One more thing, sorry. Go for it. I'm hearing that the recommendation now is to wear N95 masks. Are we going to promote that?
So we certainly have those available for staff, right? We have had them available for staff, and we just have to ask the principals. We don't yet have those available for students. That's not yet coming as a recommendation. So we'll watch for that.
Go ahead.
My question has to do with what is going to be the isolation guidelines now for our students? COVID? I know it's changed a little bit.
Yeah, so it's going to, we're working on that now because it's in the high level conversation is it's moved to 5 days. There's a lot more to it than. Maybe perhaps wider wheels on the starting. So we're in the process of that right now, doing that because, as I said, didn't hear the high level message is really simple.
Yeah.
In the details of implementation is where it becomes unwieldy. Because it's not just the 10 to 5 days that have changed, it's the testing sequence and it's, providing proof of negative that can be done with a at-home managing, how we can manage that.
Yeah, but the intent is basically to have to be consistent across the districts.
Absolutely.
MBLA sent an email this afternoon saying, outlining the change, so.
Yeah.
The 2 other comment, one question. I actually think I would like to see us encourage N95 or other than cloth masks for kids who are willing to.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot more options now, and I think the recommendation thing is sort of a political mess. I think it's pretty clear that N95 or whatever is better than cloth.
Or double masking.
Or whatever. But I think given the spike, I think it would be good for our communications to encourage more effective masks. And the other question I had was whether the family liaison, whose name is escaping me, thank you, can get looped in when one of the families that she is working with has to quarantine.
I believe that is in place already.
Great.
Yes.
Since we had talked about that.
Yeah, that's great.
And she was instrumental when we, thank you for those of you who assisted. We handed out, as Kate mentioned, we handed out the rapid tests at home tests on Sunday, whatever that was, 2nd of January. I think we ended up giving out about just over 2,000 of them, maybe 2,500 of them. She was instrumental at that point too, right? She did the whole collection of them and made sure that our families.
I'd like to compliment you. Staff, work that you're doing. It's really great. You're really well. All considered. It changes day by day.
Yep.
It's hard to keep up.
Yep, thank you. I will, of course, deflect and say that we have, the level of people we have is just incredible, right? From teachers in the classroom to our principals, to our directors, to our school nurses. They're just amazing. So thank you for that, though.
Any other comments, questions? Okay. Thank you. Moving on, annual solar project performance report.
Yep, that's me. I'm going to start. This is an information item. You have as backup to the agenda, a copy of the actual report put together by our energy consultants, Cara Verde, who helped usher in our solar project several years ago. And they do an annual report, sort of an update on how that project is turning out in terms of compared to what we expected. Something about the cadence. We started this the first year with a report to you in January after they had started their first year analysis. And we've kind of kept that cadence the last couple of years in January. But they actually are able to finish their report probably, within a couple of months after the close of the fiscal year on June 30. So I'm going to suggest we, and I've talked with them about this, moving the reporting to you to probably early fall, like maybe September, maybe October at the latest, rather than wait till January. We were just kind of stuck in this cadence and no good reason. So next year's report you'll probably get in the fall instead of waiting in January. And as a result, I did not include the first quarter report from this year as part of the agenda item. That'll just come as part of the annual report. So with that said, we just have a few slides. Phil Villagomez, representative from Terra Verde, who's here tonight, is going to present the slides. Just a quick overview of the report. And Phil, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I don't know if you're
Yeah.
muted or.
Testing 1, 2. Yeah. Am I having the same problem as earlier?
Trouble getting anybody
Mhm.
from the outside.
Did we restart?
It's funny. I can hear.
I'm wondering if we need to restart.
Shally, can you hear me?
Right.
Yeah, I could hear. I heard you earlier as well.
Phil, we cannot hear you. We're having trouble
I
with
think we need to
you.
restart the whole thing.
Oh, they can hear the
I
speaker.
know.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was afraid that would
Yeah,
happen.
try that.
1 minute. There's no pressing time constraint. If we want to, we can also do this at the next board
Let's see,
meeting.
she's gonna make an attendee,
Okay,
as if he's giving public input.
yeah,
See if that works.
okay.
All right. Testing 1, 2.
Go ahead, Phil.
Phil, can
All
we
right.
hear you?
Yeah. Can you hear me? Looks like you guys can't hear me, but other people calling in can hear me.
I think it has to do with specifically your computer. Because you're the one connected to the owl, correct?
All right. How about now? Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Charlie,
Good
say
job.
something.
Can you guys hear me? Ah, okay,
All
good.
right.
Thank you.
Yay. All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad we got that cleared up. My name is Phil Villagomez, and I am with Terra Verde Energy, and I'm pleased to be returning. I believe this is my second time presenting. So thank you. I'd like to thank the superintendent and the CBO for inviting me here. Terra Verde is very pleased to be supporting the district, and we're excited to report on the state of your renewable energy systems. So with that, I have created a few slides to summarize the annual report. And before I get into that, I want to remind everybody that we, just on a high level, what we do on a daily basis at Terra Verde does daily active dedicated monitoring of all the solar systems within the district. We're creating quarterly operational reports for you. And we're doing this annual financial report. We call it the financial, but it's actually an all-encompassing report that combines financial data from your PPA providers, your PG&E invoices, the results from a financial basis, and an operational perspective. And that's once a year. And then we're also on call throughout the year for any emergency or kind of on-call issues related to energy. everything from questions on PG&E invoices to questions for your PPA provider. We are here to assist and help. We like to say that we want to be seen as working for you and be treated as an extension of your support system. So we're in your corner, and you can see us or hopefully treat us as an advocate or someone here supporting you in your corner for a variety of reasons. So what I'll show you tonight is just a portion of what we're doing for you, and we're always ready and willing to help with questions. So with that, if we could go to the first slide.
Yeah, we're there. I don't know if you can see the slides.
Okay, I can see it now. Really just starting off here, this slide is a summary of your financial performance. And by what we mean by this is that on the you'll have a pro forma projection, which is the document that was done when your system was in the design phase and development, and then we track it with actuals. And so the avoided cost of electricity, or meaning the electricity you did not have to buy from your utility provider. The projection was 555,000. The actual came out to 528,000. So around a 95% hit. And then when you take out your PPA payments and your management fees, the district saved over $150,000 by having a solar PPA active and operational throughout the year. And basically, that is a combination. We'll track this. People will ask, okay, what is the state of that in comparison to other districts, other performances that we see, because we are managing and monitoring a wide variety. And I'm pleased to say that this performance here is that we see this in a very strong position. A wide variety of things can happen when it comes to solar renewable energy. When you walk by solar panels, I think it's, if anybody can walk by a panel and say, hey, is that one working? Is it performing as it should be expected? It's not just as easy as looking to see if something's on or off. And that's where we come in. We analyze the data, we integrate with what we call your data access system, and we monitor and interpret that data to say, how is the system performing, and what can we do to make sure that it's optimized and that it's increasing its performance. So that's done every day, and we document when there's performance impacting events, and then we'll continue to monitor and work with your provider to make sure those issues that we've found are addressed and resolved. So with that, on the next slide, this one is kind of interesting, and I want to point out that when I see this, I always get these questions about the shape, and this is a typical shape of the performance. And if you look at, like, say, a month like July, where you can see here that it's about 260,000 kilowatt hours, and you compare that to a month like, say, January, where you're just under 100,000 kilowatt. That is a typical solar irradiance curve, where the number of hours of daylight that you get obviously are much shorter in December, January than they are in July, June. So that's why you're seeing this typical solar curve that you see here. But we're tracking three things. We're tracking the baseline expectations of performance. We're tracking the weather adjusted performance, and then the actual performance. And so if you look at the green lines here, that's how we come and we get these quarterly results. And you can see here in the fiscal Q1, you had this 94, and then it went to 87, 92, and 98 to give you this overall. That's where we come up with this percentage of 94%. So your systems across the district are creating and producing 2,145,252 kilowatt hours. And that's all I'm going to show you how that's applied to your overall usage in the next screen. But overall, these are, in my mind, very good results. They're not perfect, and that's why we strive to continue to document issues, to look at any type of shortfalls. But in any time you're over 90%, we give that a green rating, that's performing on track. And it's anytime you go below that, we want to make sure we're taking very special, closer look. And I'll also say that in your October, November kind of time frame, even December, that again goes very well in line with what we see for Northern California, kind of the performance of panels of what happens around this time frame. We usually see the performance dip a little bit, and it's a combination of things that can be weather related, it can be environmental related. And in some places around California, it's much more difficult, especially if they're closer to, for our districts that are closer to agricultural areas. Those are the quarters that can be really challenging. But we've seen it whether it's urban or kind of rural. Those months of October, November, December can be some of the toughest to get those percentages up. But over here, you see that for the year, we're giving you about a 94% kind of rating there. So on the next screen, you'll see our energy usage. And what's important here, I want to compare a couple of months for you. Let's say July, August to December, January. And again, here your baseline utility usage is shown in this dark blue line. Your utility usage is kind of in the orange area, and then your usage that is sourced from solar is in the green. So you can see, like in July and August, we're showing that solar, basically you were utilizing, your needs were being met by your solar systems. But in a month like December and January, you're relying a lot more heavily on utility backup power production, but yet you're still getting your solar usage. But it just so happens that you can see here that usage is exceeding your baseline expectations. And in this case, we're showing that it's about 13% across the board for that fiscal year where your usage was up. But clearly here by month, we're showing you how much of your usage is coming from solar and how much is coming from your utility. And of course, we break it down by showing you that your usage expectations were a little bit over 4 million kilowatt hours, but you're using around 4.5 million kilowatt hours right now. All right.
Anything you want to comment about the relationship between actual and the baseline at all?
Well, I'll just say that we did adjust the baselines last year as a result of the knowledge or the information we received about the deployed electric vehicle chargers. Like anything, usage is a function of what's happening at everything behind your meters. So we do have to look at how much of your usage is coming from normal school activities and how much and actually are there any other activities that could be impacting your overall usage for each school. All right.
We talked about it. One of the things that I'm sure the board's aware of is during this period of time, encouraging to have all the doors and windows open in the school classrooms, which will engender more utility usage for sure.
Yeah, and we're seeing that across the board, obviously. Terra Verde, I'd say, I think the last time I checked, about 70% of our customer base is made up of California public schools. Then we also serve California water agencies, but public state agencies are basically our bread and butter. That's who we're working for every day. And we know the challenges that the schools have seen over the last, now coming on 2 years of having to deal with some of those requirements around HVAC and other issues that have caused usage to go up.
Next slide. That was the last one.
All right, and that's kind of like the brief summary that I had. If I were giving a state of the union for your renewable, I'd say the state of your union is strong, and we're very proud to be a part of that and to help you all. And we're here for, as I said, for a variety of reasons, to help you, optimize your systems, but to be a resource for answers to any questions you have. So we look forward to continuing the relationship. We're working for you every day, and we want to make sure you've got basically the information or the data that you want. So not that we want to burden you, but you'll see we have included the full annual report in your packet. So if you have questions, I'm here for you. My staff is here for you. I head up the asset management group, and yeah, we're excited to still to be a part and to be helping you guys where we can.
Thanks, Phil. I think we'll turn it back to the board. Hang in there.
Before I open up to board questions, anybody who wants to comment on this item, should raise their hand now. Any questions? Go for it.
Bill, could you explain on that last slide where you have direct energy usage July 2020 to 2021? Could you explain utility usage relative baseline is 39.4%, but usage relative, total usage relative baseline is up by 13. What's the meaning behind that?
Okay, so the first one, when we say utility usage relative to baseline, so we're saying that your total take of power from PG&E has gone down by almost 40%. A flip side of looking at that would be of saying that yes, you've reduced what you're needing to take from PG&E, but yet your overall usage, compared to the baseline, has gone up. So it's just, we want to show you like how much even though your usage is kind of creeping up a little bit, you've still been able to reduce your reliance on PG&E by almost 40%.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, good to hear.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay. I will just close really quickly to also mention that, we're advocating on behalf of school districts in front of the CPUC and other agencies as we fight changes to try that we're seeing where they could diminish the value of rooftop and shade structure solar at schools. That's another thing that Terra Verde does, is we advocate for you guys, and we're fighting the good fight when it comes to saying, hey, please do not minimize the value of solar for schools. So that's something we're active on now, and that's something where we'll have representatives in San Francisco on Thursday, and we're rallying. There's a rally called Save Our Solar Jobs, and we want the governor to hear that schools need, don't mess with school solar.
Thank you.
Don't hang up yet, Phil. Any other comments from board members? Seeing none from the public either, I guess we can move on. Phil, okay, you are now free to hang up.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
2022 board committees and appointments.
Yeah, so at the last meeting, at our reorganization meeting, Stevie presented a draft of committee assignments, and this is the opportunity for the board to take action on that, to put those in place for the 2022 year.
Chance to raise hands if you want to comment on these assignments. Any comments from the board members on these? Any changes, requests? Seeing no one wanting to comment in public, we'll close public comment. Can I get a motion to approve the committee assignments for 2022?
So moved.
Second.
Second, Sally, good work. Yay.
I just wanted to make sure you could hear me.
Sally seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Sounds like it passes 5-0. Thank you. City of Los Altos Schools Subcommittee meeting.
Yes, so we meet with the city of Los Altos on a periodic basis, usually about 3 times a year. Marcy, we don't have that date established yet, correct? Right. So we don't have the date established yet, but we know there is a meeting coming up. Wanted to give the board an opportunity to generate some ideas for topics. You may want it to come back also after you have some time to think about it, but either way, just an opportunity for board discussion on this.
I'm going to give you a chance to raise hands now if anyone wants to comment on this item. Open discussion to Board members, anything you'd like us to start discussing with the school? Let's see.
If you could circulate the agenda for the last
Oh.
meeting with the city and possibly some minutes.
Yep.
I think that would be helpful. I don't have anything on the top of my head, but I'm sure there's some follow-up items from that.
Mercy. Just make it up. Great.
I guess I'm vaguely remembering there was a lot of stuff probably having to do with complete streets and stuff. So updates as to how, what work has been done for making the travel to school for our students safer. I mean, I've seen some, and a lot anecdotally, but I'm sure they have a lot more data on that. Just driving here today, though, I was realizing there's so much safety behind this school, but on Covington itself, there's no bump, there's no humps, there's no traffic coming. Anyway, I don't know if we want to look into that, but I was noticing that because there's a lot more on the backside of the school, but not in the front. So yeah, that's all I can think of right now. And they're perennial, you know, when are we opening the back entrance to Egan?
And also given their mandate to include or increase housing or
Yeah.
reduce market housing, where do they see that heading? Because that'll have a trickle down effect on us. So where they think that's not helpful.
Perhaps even advocate for more middle type housing for our teachers.
Right, I think one of the things that I was always commenting on is I'd like to see them, the more they can make that universal across the district versus set aside in certain areas of the city, it would be helpful for us.
That housing.
But to Brian's point, maybe we'll bring this up again next, after we have a chance to review past reviews, we'll bring it up one more time.
We'll send that out.
While we're still waiting to get it scheduled anyway.
Yeah.
Great. I think we're going to move on. I want to raise hand for public comments. Or policy update.
Yes, brought one policy early all by itself, just to get in the cycle early. This is the transitional kindergarten policy with the date changes in coming in transitional kindergarten. We wanted to get those all in place well in advance of the school year starting. So this policy is for your review, and we'll be bringing it back next time for approval.
Anyone in public wants to comment on this item, raise your hands now. And any questions on the policy or comments to that? And I'm not seeing any hands raised either, so I close public comment. And I think with that one, that's the last item on our agenda. We go to board administrator comments. Sandra?
Alrighty, so I was just going to let you know that the highlight of my school year occurred on Friday when I got to teach 6 periods of 7th grade English over at Egan. It was fantastic. The kids were incredible. You know, I walk around, but I don't necessarily spend any lengthy period of time, but I did not have to remind one student to fix a mask. They were so welcoming. One of the boys told me, I haven't seen you sub around here before. To Egan. And I said, thank you. He said, we are a great school. I said, thank you for letting me know. It was really so much fun. Today I attended the second of a 3-part series on universal pre-K, which includes TK. There's a big communication problem around the language of that. That was in partnership with the state and our county office of ed and really understanding all the requirements around those offerings. Tomorrow at 3:30, we have our first wellness committee meeting, and we are going to be starting our work around comprehensive sexuality education. So that meeting begins at 3:30. We have our first curriculum council meeting, of the year, where we'll be talking about that partnership with the wellness committee and also our science adoption that takes place on Thursday at 3:30. And then next Tuesday, we have our second of the year professional development day for our teaching staff. It's a non-student day, the day after MLK. We have a really terrific group of junior high teachers who've been working with Karen Wilson to work on junior high PD this year. So we will be virtual, which is not ideal, but we're doing it. So junior high teachers have their own 2 sessions that this group is leading, and our elementary folks have kind of some just-in-time to support them with everything we've been doing this year sessions. Those will take place in the morning. And then the afternoon is really teacher-directed work time or teacher-directed self-care time. So teachers have opportunity on Tuesday to do some learning and to do something else. We're excited about that.
Andy?
Highlight of my year was not being asked to teach.
Great, Randy.
Were you a teacher? Did you
It
start?
was the highlight for them as well. One thing I guess I'll report, I'm working with a consulting firm right now on figuring out the implementation details for our Free Meals for All program for next year, which will be very different from what we're operating. It's underway. More later.
Well, I have a hard time believing Sandra enjoyed that more than writing a plan.
No more plans. They keep pushing plans.
More to come. No, I mentioned, I'll just reiterate, vaccine clinic at Block this Thursday. I invite everyone to attend, spread the word. I did get to substitute principal at Moment last week as well, with a bit of a soft spot for Moment. So that was enjoyable getting back there.
How'd you do?
doing that. What's that?
How'd you do?
I
Okay.
helped open some milk at lunch, so that was helpful. And, settled a couple of disputes on the playground, so I was useful.
Great. Shally, I'll let you go first. Any comments, any questions, anything you want to add?
No, just that I'm attending the Wellness Committee meeting tomorrow and I'm really looking forward to it. That's it.
Nothing.
I, along with you, helped distribute the test kits on Sunday. It was a joyous occasion, really, because everybody wanted them. So we like to do that. I also, this is more as a parent, but I brought my son to the county version of the clinic we're having this Thursday. The county partnered with Safeway, and it was a great partnership. Like the Safeway did a great job. So I look forward to helping out on Thursday for the Block clinic, and I think it's great that we get these partnerships for our community and the community as a whole around us. And that's it.
Before the break, Jeff and I had a call with Senator Becker, which was nice. My first opportunity to talk to him and advocate for our district. On the topic of partnerships, thank you again to MBLA for organizing PCR testing at their campuses, which is open actually to any community member. You don't have to have a student, I think, technically, and they generally always have capacity, although response time is running about 4 days now. So it's not as fast as it used to be because of the volume of testing everywhere, I'm sure. But it's another great resource if you need the PCR test.
Okay, with that, I think we'll adjourn. Thank you, everybody. I forgot, I didn't have a.
Good night.